Good afternoon. This is Ed Condon with the Region 9 Head Start Association. I'm here this afternoon with Colleen Versteeg and Dr. Keena Mosley to share a little bit of detail about our upcoming Head Start Leader Strategic Retreat and Reset, June 28th and 29th in San Francisco. We look forward to you all joining us, and I'm just excited to hear a little bit about where Head Start leadership is headed and some details on what we'll cover during those 2 days. Colleen?
Thanks, Ed. Hi, Dr. Keena. Good to see you again. We're super excited to have you here. I think I'd like to start with having you tell us just a little bit about yourself and in terms of early childhood education and leadership and anything else you feel that the group would like to hear about.
So I like to say that early childhood is the only job that I've ever had. I have been doing all things ECE since 1991. I literally started out as an afternoon preschool aide. I've been a custodian, like not by default because like the toilet overflow, but because I actually signed up for that job, strangely enough. I've done everything in ECE up until a few years ago. Before I started my business, I was deputy director and chief operating officer for a large Head Start program, but I work with school districts, I work with nonprofits, I work with the County of Los Angeles. I've done a little bit of everything in ECE, and then I currently also teach at Santa Monica College. And so now what I am doing is what I believe is the culmination of everything that I have done over the last 30 plus years. And that is, I am the Chief Transformation Officer of Momentum Leadership Group, serving as executive coach, consultant, and speaker.
Oh, what a fabulous resume. Thanks so much for sharing with us. You and I have had time together, and I have been a product, if you will, of your coaching and your teaching. So what is it that you see that our Head Start leaders and our ECE leaders really need to do to adapt and adjust to our new world?
So I'm glad that you said new world, because one of the things that I think is very difficult for us is that there are so many people that are still looking back to the way things were, right? There's that classic song that talks about the way things were. And the truth is, thanks to all that has happened to us over the last 2 years, we really are in a new place. And I think the sooner that we all embrace that and adapt that, the sooner we can all move forward in productive ways. And unfortunately, as I'm sure you can attest to, many times the wheels turn very slow in education, right? Many times the wheels turn very slow in bureaucracy. But the truth is that we've had people all over the world, legitimately all over the world, that have had to sit back and reprioritize and rethink their lives, the way that they're going to move forward. And we're a part of this bigger movement. And we have to understand, first of all, kudos to whoever decided to officially call early childhood essential, right? We've always known that. But they called us essential. And so I feel like to a certain degree, it elevated us a little bit in the world. But now, as we have gotten the elevation and the eyesight of others, we have to still make sure that people don't just see us as childcare. They don't see us as a way for mom and dad and everybody else to go back to work, but they see us as the foundation for learning. And I truly believe that that doesn't happen without strong leaders being in place and being able to say, look, this is the direction that we're going in. I understand that we do have a lot of people that want to work from home. I understand that we might even have a lot more people now that want to homeschool their children. But because of who we are and what we do, we have the tools, we have the skill set, we have the knowledge to be able to show you why Head Start is still the best thing that's happening across early childhood. And here's how we're going to do that, you know? So I think that's what we as leaders have to still look at. We still have to get our staff, who aren't always so excited about hours and pay scales and things for early childhood, we still have to get them to see the value that we are as employers and maybe make some changes based on how we have structured ourselves traditionally.
Thanks for that. That's such important advice. And we certainly know that becoming essential in the eyes of others is so very important as we move forward. And
yes.
With gratitude, we have received that over the last 2 years. So thanks for touching on that. What are some things we can look forward to in the 2 days you'll be with us?
So we are going to have a power-packed 2 days. We are going to start out, though, just taking a collective sigh. One of the things that I have said repeatedly since we've kind of started to transition out of the pandemic and now into a, I guess they call it an endemic, is that the weight of the pandemic has been on the shoulders of leaders. And leaders are tired. I probably don't even have to say this to you. Leaders are tired, whether you continued operation or not. And I know that Head Start was instructed to continue operations. It was exhausting because every day you had no idea what you were walking into, right? You didn't know if you were going to have staff. You didn't know who was coming to school, who wasn't coming to school. What new requirements did you have to try to suddenly implement? You're trying to keep everyone safe and healthy because you cannot put a price on that, you know, and then you are also carrying the concerns of just being a human being operating under conditions that you have no clue about. And nobody in the world can really give you any real informed guidance on. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to start with a collective woosah. After we do that and we kind of discuss how we're going to move forward and what were our lessons learned, then we're going to start digging into quite a few things. And we're going to be talking about how we need to look at ourselves and do some self-examination and how we can be better leaders moving forward. So essentially, the other discussion we were having is what is this new world like and how do we move forward? How do we set our programs up for success? What do we do to get our teams, our leadership teams, to work together better? I've worked with tons of early childhood programs, and one of the things, unfortunately, especially for Head Start, is an issue. Is we work really well in silos, but we can't work in silos anymore. And if you remember, pre-2020, we had a list of things that we would say, oh, I'll never get my staff to do this. I can't get them to check their emails on a regular basis. Oh, they can't meet. We have to do everything in person. We can't do virtually. Well, really quick, we all learned how to use a computer. And so one of the lessons learned from that time, and we need to move forward, is how do we embrace technology in such a way that it allows us to be more effective and how we can be more efficient. And from that mindset, how do we move forward? So not as much focus on the use of the computer, but what are the things that we've said no to that really we need to look at deeper, because we've proven that those no statements were really maybe I just don't want to stretch statements. And so learning how to have that conversation. And then that's all day one. Day two, we're going to start talking about having challenging conversations, because not only have we always had to have them, but I suspicion that as we move forward, we're going to have them even more. And so we have a guest, Carol Marzouk, is coming in, and she's going to share with us. They call her the executive lion tamer. So she's going to be talking about engagement, and she's going to be talking about having those difficult conversations in a way that will allow us to be productive and still maintain relationship, and how we can engage employees during challenging times. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're just going to dig into some strategic planning. We've heard a lot of great things. We've gotten a lot of great strategies, but what does this look like when we go back to our agencies? And let's just start to flesh out an action plan. You know, I love an action plan, Colleen. Let's start fleshing out an action plan so that we can move forward and put some of these things to use as soon as we get back to the office.
Thank you so much. Such relevant and important content. I think, you know, leaders really are tired right now and want some fresh new ideas and want to see where we can push through in 2022. And you're absolutely right. I think those things that we wondered if we could ever do it, we easily accomplished those in the midst of a pandemic. And it certainly taught us how to learn and grow and continue to be flexible in our Head Start world. I know
Yes.
I am. Go ahead.
One of the things that I'm really looking forward to is just having everyone together and having that network. And so it's one thing to be on your computer and looking at each of your colleagues in those boxes, but it's another thing to sit across the table from them and say, how have things been for you? What are you doing differently? And how did you survive? And be able to look in each other's eyes and have that conversation from a fresh perspective.
Absolutely. I know the Region 9 Head Start Association board is very excited to be back in person, very excited to have those face-to-face connections again. I know I am extremely excited for the 2 days I will be there, and we are excited to see everybody else that will join us during that time. And thank you so much, Dr. Keena, for joining us today to talk a little bit more about what we have to look forward to.
Thank you. I'm excited about being here, and I'm super excited about seeing everyone in June.
Wonderful. Thank you, Colleen. Thank you, Dr. Keena. And just again, it's June 28th and 29th. We'll be in San Francisco, a lovely setting at the Argonaut Hotel. We are set up with all of our COVID precautions in place. It will be a nice large room with some outdoor dining, as well as plenty of space for each of us to sit and to participate in the training. We also have Cynthia Yao will be joining us to sort of kick off and give us some of her perspective on the first day as where Head Start leadership should be moving in the next bit of time. And as you say, most importantly, we'll have each other for the first time in 2 years to both dream, to celebrate, and to plan ahead. So we look forward to 2 great days, and thanks to both of you for making that happen.
Absolutely.
Thank you.